I would really love to ask if BIM could help me in achieving the efficiency required in my agricultural business, and if this could help me in achieving the maximization of beneficiaries and minimization of cost. I think BIM is not only a matter of scheduling and documentation of business. It's more than this. And thank you again.
3 dimensions. I think even when I was in school, we have been trained and we design in 2 dimensions first. Right? Then we start thinking about the third, dimension after we completed a layout or the design of a building 2-dimensional. I think the first step for a designer or as an architect, I think it would help you produce better designs if you start designing 3-dimensionally first, and then you go into detailing the design. 2-dimensional design produces a lot of challenges when it comes to executing and building in the field. If you truly are looking for completeness of design, then 3-dimensional design is going, or designing virtually 3-dimensionally is going to help you in your practice to produce a complete, if you're looking for completely or a complete design that is constructible, then that's where the benefit for a designer comes into place. In today's world, I think for an architect, I think from a practical perspective, we see the benefit of BIM more in the construction and the facility side and not on the design side. I think for the designers, honestly, and this is the honest truth, you're going to hear people talk, a lot of different talk. From the design perspective, I think it will help you produce better designs, complete designs, avoid a lot of unnecessary, call it either conflicts between the different trades. You will have a better coordinated, design. So I think if you involve the rest of the design team, your consultants, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, and some of the other consultants in the design, and you design a complete product, then you will be better suited. You talked about efficiency, you talked about cost, you talked about quantification as well of how much, how do I know that how much the building is going to cost. And so I think if you bring in your consultants with you and you design a complete design 3-dimensionally, you will be able to get quantities, meaningful quantities that allow you to truly come up with not a cost in heaven of the building, but a true cost of how much it is going to cost the owner today. And then you want to couple that with educating your contractor as well to the benefit of BIM. I think if you just isolate yourself and you start, producing virtually designed, or you design in 3 dimensions yourself as an architect without taking that further into construction, then the cycle is broken. So I would say start there with the design, but definitely bring the general contractor with you and elevate their game. What's happening to us, and I'll give you some of our experience, today, because not all architects design in 3 dimensions, or some do. We still have an issue with who owns the model, because the architect produces the design, and we take the architect's model. It's primarily done for visualization. It doesn't contain a lot of components. It doesn't contain a lot of information. What we have to do as a construction company, we actually just take that as a visual model. We build our model completely from scratch. We don't even rely on the architect's model anymore because they're lacking greatly. And so what I would say is the step starts with you as an architect. You absolutely have to start designing 3-dimensionally, understand how the building components come together, make sure the design is complete and coordinated with your consultants, and try and bring the construction industry side of it along with you. Unfortunately, in the US, it happened the other way around. The construction industry, the general contractors adopted BIM before the designers did. then designers came along. We're still navigating some of those, technical issues as far as we're even putting our own packages as components and giving them to the architects to make sure they're included in their, in their models. So all of our drywall packages, all of our concrete packages are packaged and given to the designers so that they are incorporated into the design. So does that make sense? So did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Thank you for the valuable lecture. As you said, and many other vendors and organizations advocating the use and adoption of BIM, there are some challenges, especially when we talk about project procurement systems and traditional procurement, where serious challenges facing the implementation and adoption of BIM. And the real problem when compared, especially with public sector and infrastructure projects, where traditional procurement system dominates the venue. As you also said, BIM is about people and changes and culture and process and a little bit of technology, if I may say. Technology is there and is growing so fast. There were no problems with technology. Autodesk and Bentley and so many others, they have the technology, but it is about the adoption and implementation. The serious issue with the traditional procurement system is the integration of the process with the contracting organization and subcontracting organization and the rest of the project coalition. So this is a serious challenge for BIM. I'll let you to elaborate on this issue.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much, and I'm glad to see you, in the audience. And I think you missed this part where we talked about it. So, where we sit today, so you're absolutely correct. So BIM is not other than a tool, and you've hit on the project delivery and how we procure projects. And so where we sit today is right at that intersection. And where I said, earlier is that can you implement BIM without making changes to the procurement process and how we deliver projects? You can. Is it bound to fail? Maybe, maybe not. Can you implement integrated project delivery or any other method of alternative delivery method without BIM? Yes, you can. Can you implement any process, can you implement the lean practices and lean processes without these other two? Yes, you can. However, to have a successful implementation and to bring everybody along, the owner, the subcontractor, and the entire project team with you, this is where we find this is where we find the most benefit for us, is that change the game completely. It's a paradigm shift of how we procure projects. The design, bid, and then build projects, like it's happening either in the public sector or with some developers, even as well, it doesn't work anymore. It does not produce, you look across the board, projects are late, change orders, claims, a lot of inefficiencies in the entire process. You will never be able to deliver the value to an owner if you continue to deliver projects on the hard bid, low bidder scenario, period. That's it. We're not going to be able to. Because what? Somebody's going to cut corners, somebody's going to deliver a project that is not optimal. It's, again, remember when we talked about this guy here, Jim Collins? Good is the enemy of great. We want to deliver greatness, not just good. Because if we're satisfied with delivering just good, we're never going to deliver greatness. So we should always look to deliver great projects, great relationships, right? not settle for good. I think the hard bid scenario is honestly, in my humble opinion, is settling for good for the public sector as well as for private entities as well. They're doing themselves a disservice if they award projects just solely based on the low number, the low dollar. So does that answer your question? And so what we've done is we've integrated, so I guess to continue the answer to your question, we've adopted a lot of lean practices in our operations, day-to-day operations. They range from, pull planning to involving the last planners, to target value design or target costing, to elimination of waste, identifying and making sure waste is eliminated, from our job site, and then striving for continuous improvement, or again, looking for excellence and greatness, and mapping the process to make sure we eliminate to eliminate all of the waste, as well as involving the entire project team. If you don't bring the entire project team, and we bring everybody at all different levels, including the last planners. And what I explained earlier is that these last planners are the foremen. And so we go down even to the level of the foreman at the project level and bring them and make them part of the project team. So what else? And so we integrate our project delivery today, not on all projects, but this is what we want to advocate for. We have pioneered integrated project delivery across the board, especially on the western United States, California mainly, and then it started to propagate across of our offices. Actually, right now in Florida, in one of our first integrated project delivery, our IPD project is in Florida, is happening right now in Orlando. But across the board, our teams, this was one of the first ones where we've been featured on the ENR. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the ENR, where we've got a team of 11 entities that have signed. And so this type of contract, it's an integrated project delivery. We sign a contract, it's called an IFOA, integrated form of agreement. So even the subcontractors, there's one contract on the project, and everybody signs that contract. The owner signs the contract, the architect, the design, the rest of the consultants, as well as us as a general contractor and our the key subcontractors, I should say. We all sign one contract to deliver a project to the owner based on their requirements. And we help them make decisions, as we go to influence the design. And so the types of projects we deliver, and I think this is where maybe it's helping us. I'll go back. So our market sectors are highly specialized, some technical projects that owners want the value out of their buildings, or what they design, essentially. And so we're not, like I mentioned, we're not building for Zaha Hadid or for Frank Gehry. And so where money is not an object and you can just dream things. And so a hospital has to be profitable, and a hospital has to have, has to cost a certain amount of money. The same thing, a data center or a mission critical facility, it has to be profitable. The cost of construction, even though it may be small, I think I may have a slide here that talks about, and I may have skipped it, the cost of, it's this one here. So this is the life cycle of a project, where the value for the owner, as an owner, this is the value for the owner, right? Is that this is what it costs them throughout the entire life of a project, right? Our industry, right? But this is their cost to operate the building. And then the value for them is, what do they get out of it? And so if we can get integrated, with the owner and the designers, we can absolutely influence decisions here that maximizes this profit for them at the end of the day. And so you're absolutely correct. Traditional, conventional project procurement deliveries do not work for the 21st century if the owner is looking for the whole life value on the project. Period. So does that answer? I hope that.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أكرم bin Khalifa from Adobe. Thank you very much to thank you, Ma'awiya, for this presentation. And I'm really sorry I missed the first part. You know, I missed the dates. And, in fact, I have a comment followed by quick question. It's a little question that I think it's very serious and we have to think a lot about it. The BIM is one of the technological development that we have in our industry, and the technological development definitely became very frequent, very rapid, and that is very challenging for all the industries. But in our scope, we face this a lot in all the software that we were based, or even we face sometimes the issues of compatibility between the softwares. What architects use might not be compatible with what civil engineers use or mechanical engineers use, and that is a big challenge in applying the BIM system, I know. So, what is your view, or how do you overcome these kind of problems? First, the compatibility between the softwares, and the other issue, the frequent changing, because it's very important if you want to collaborate with other within your team or even with other firms or stakeholders. And so how can you manage that? Because I think it's very challenging.
Your question, I wouldn't be here. Let's put it this way. That's the true $1 million question. One of the things that we've done to mitigate some of what you're talking about is actually deals with people, because technology is technology. And so we have these big rooms where people, again, this project has 150 people, project team. We bring people together to mitigate, the architects are sitting right there with us, with the MEP contractors, with, the owner has representations there as well, because our systems don't talk to their systems. That's one of the reasons. And so that's one of the ways we've been able to accomplish making decisions while our systems don't talk together. Bring people together. I don't have to deal with email. I don't have to deal with long distances. Obviously, you may not be able to afford this on every project to build a trailer that can house 150 people, right? Just practically may not be feasible. So we use a lot of tools, other tools, to allow people to collaborate, and be able to bridge the gap between the systems that don't talk, essentially. This is honestly the biggest challenge today, and I don't believe it has been solved yet. I think a lot of people are working, towards a common language. There is a group even of the vendors, the Autodesk and the Bentleys, and have their own conglomerate to be able to bridge the gap. And as a company, we influence them to be able to help that. You talk about technology changing. Believe it or not, we sit through a presentation almost twice a month. A new software, a new application popping up. And so the industry is changing. It's changing rapidly. As a company, I think we got to a place where we need to make some bets, right? And so we need to vet all the software and the applications out in the marketplace, make a decision, because as a business, we have to run our business, no doubt. And so we have to look at the most viable solution today with the future in mind, that we're betting on the winning horse, that this is going to be the winning horse. And we help them, we influence them. We are a big investor in education and in academia. We have partnerships with Georgia Tech, Penn State, and SciFi at Stanford. And actually we sponsor and pay for research. And we do hire research assistants as well, to come and work for DPR, to push our agenda and to push forward to bridge that. But today, I can tell you there is no solution yet. A lot of people are working towards the solution to make sure systems talk, systems seamlessly talk. Systems talk today, but I would say in a very archaic, not lean way. There is a lot of either bridges between the systems, bridges fail, bridges translate the information incorrectly. It does happen, no doubt. However, by bringing people, I think we are able to bridge some of that, eliminate some of the inefficiencies. By sponsoring research, I think we're able to push forward on some of what needs to happen. By joining, organizations that really are pushing, we're a member of several of these, industry organizations that are really pushing the technology and the industry forward. But I don't think there is an answer yet. I think a lot of people have dreams. You see a lot of mock-ups. You see a lot of, presentations of what's coming. It's promising, but I don't think there are applications out there that have I think the DNA of being integrated. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, there's an application called i2 it's a German application. And so that application has the capacity, I think, to bridge some of the gaps that we have today. It's very expensive. It requires, just for a 5-seat license, it was almost $500,000. So I think some economy of scale, I think, is going to play a role sometime in the near future, but it is a challenge today. Applications don't talk, teams are fragmented, and technology and applications are changing rapidly, and there is almost something new every day. Do we have to keep up with it? Absolutely. Our team, so I'm part of what we call the Ever Forward team. We are a dedicated team. We have almost 13 full-time people that do nothing but look for the future. And so I think it's a luxury that not a lot of general contractors, can have. And so our IT staff, we have about 70 full-time IT staff just to manage the number of applications. The last audit we did, we manage and run about 52 applications as a general contractor. You wouldn't imagine a general contractor has 52 applications running at the same time. And so it's absolutely a challenge. Some people have tried, Oracle, you name it. A lot of people have tried, SAP, have tried to become the all and, deliver, but they fail to deliver miserably. And so I think the question for us becomes, you have a lot of applications that deliver a lot of specialized, some of them are similar or alike, and you've got some applications that are, say they deliver the whole, suite of, capabilities, but then they're not the best in class. And so as a company, we need to make some decisions. Do we use fragmented best in class applications, or do we use a not so best in class application, but has a slew of, a suite that serves multiple areas? I think we've tried that and it didn't work, so I think right now we're at a point where we're choosing the best in breed or the best in class application and trying to bridge the gap between. So I hope this kind of gives you at least our perspective on where we are today. And so we've got a team that's looking forward to what's happening in the market. We're investing, with, again, Stanford, Georgia Tech, and Penn State to really push the industry and push academia, as well. And we are part of the big, construction industry. And I think our size helps us to navigate through or put some pressure on the vendors as well to move forward to where they need to be. So,
definitely. But I would like to take on or touch on two of the questions. Start with the last one, which asking about the interoperability of software. And I think now, so I'm Nawar actually, I'm going to talk about this on the forum Tuesday. Also touch on that a lot during the workshop. So the issue of the interoperability is there, but there are a lot of advancement. There are so many, successes in the recent years. And that's actually one of the main goals of the national BIM standard. So standardization is there to solve those issues like interoperability between applications and specifically software. And right now we have the IFC, which is the neutral data format. So it is required for each software vendor to produce, for instance, BIM authoring tools like Autodesk, Tekla, Bentley, and all those, and then also other analysis programs, for instance, structural engineering. This is my my specialization, and energy analysis, which is I touched on that a lot. So there is a very good success. You can really now move your data between those applications. Really, I mean, relatively, with great success. I mean, still it's not 100%, ideal, but it is to 90%. You don't have to remodel. That's the key. So you don't have to re-enter the whole data again when you, for instance, consider doing structural analysis, for instance, designing, the steel frame or steel concrete steel, or doing energy analysis, thermal comfort, and so on and so forth. So still, you will be able easily to move the data between those applications using the IFC, which is the industry foundation classes, which is the neutral data format. In other words, each software must produce this type of file that you will be able to take it to any software. So it's not going to be only tailored to that software company. For instance, like Excel spreadsheet, for instance. An example, you can open it only with Microsoft Office. You can't open it with other products. But if you export your Excel file into a neutral data format file, so that's like XML, for instance, then XML can be sent to many other applications that can consume that file without having to redo or re-enter the data, for instance, re-enter the geometry, the location of the columns, footings, and so forth and so on, which was really, a real problem because I was designing a lot of structural buildings, working with architects for more than 25 years. I have to, redesign. This is real time consuming, taking all the geometry into the structural analysis program and do the analysis and go back, and always, I miss something, no doubt. But now there's a lot of, I save,